feeling that there'll be these pockets of light springing up in different parts of the world, and that these will be, in a way, invisible planets on this planet. And that as we, or the world, grow colder, we can take invisible space journeys to these different planets, refuel for what it is we need to do on the planet itself, and come back. And come back. And come back.
And it's their feeling that there have to be centers now where people can come and reconstruct a new future for the world.
Hello. Yes, we're here for a reflection stream. The calendar says it's been a year since the Midwestuary. So, like a old faded photograph, we will discuss this our memories of this time. I guess. Remember that? Yeah. So once in a land. Oh yeah, and I posted a link. There's a link. Come on, share your memories. Share your memories. Once in a land where they speak in the normal way. There was a conference. The kind of conference is still up for debate. But Midwestuary 2025. Here's a Neil. Hello, sir.
Good evening to you, sir.
So you're saying that you were there?
Do you remember when?
There?
Am I using my webcam mic?
Yeah, it's no.
Is it loud when I do this?
Yeah, it's your normal mic.
It's my good mic. All right, because whenever I use the dark webcam, it always messes up my sound. So
yeah, anytime I see you podcasting, streaming now, all I can see is this.
You calling me a narcissy?
This is all I can see. This is what it looks like. This is you.
Isn't it great
That's
camouflage?
That's you podcasting.
Like, you can't even see my belly button because it's so well camouflaged. So it's like entirely PG,
Yeah, but yeah. Also, I have pulled up here. Look at this. Remember this?
I do.
We can use this to kick in. Jog? They say jog a bit of the memory of some of the viewers at home there. If you were at this thing, then you saw these people. Remember that? Paul and John.
I have nostalgia for Rod Dreer's speech.
And John, yep. Elizabeth, Rod, Cale. Who I don't think had a keynote, but he was there. And he was an important
he was our MC.
Bit of the thing. And so now how long had you been around, Mr. Neil?
Well, Midwestuary was my first big event. Yeah. So
but you've been around like a year already?
I came out of the lurk November of 2021. So I think 2 years.
Okay.
Or no, wait. No, sorry. 2023. November of 2023. So 2 years. Yeah.
What? Whoa.
Are you saying I died and was reborn?
They're saying you died and still die, which is a little bit more on brand for you.
First you don't succeed, die again.
Yeah, so that means that you would have been like looking forward to this the entire time that it existed, even as in conception.
Yeah, do you know the origin story of this conference?
I have heard a couple different things.
Okay. I'll give my best understanding of it. Griswold Gaius Grimm of the Third LARPing Ingressional Protocol talked about on a live stream how his house was in need of some repair, and it would be great if people could come and help him out. So Chad took that as a rallying cry, and Chad started getting people together to help out with that. And then Grizz was like, "No, no, 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 no. People make me nervous. Just kidding." And then
Get away.
Chad was like, Chad had all this pent up energy and enthusiasm for an event, and then he started looking at possible event sites, and he found a place in, oh, I think it was Rockford, Illinois. It was a CRC church that was willing to host an event, and but then we realized that it would be difficult to get people to Rockford from, because it's, I don't know, about an hour drive from Chicago, I think, maybe more.
Yeah.
Um, and and also during, I don't know the precise order of operations. I know he reached out to PVK. I think he reached out to PVK first and said, "Would you be willing to come to an event?" And Paul said, "Absolutely." And then Chad reached out to each of those people individually and asked them if they would be interested in the event. So Chad was basically the ambassador of sorts. And I think he also reached out to Sam Tiedemann and the Chicago Estuary Group. And then Sam and the Chicago Estuary Group were really the muscle behind the spirit of what Chad wanted to do, because they were quite organized. You know, they were able to put a nonprofit together. They were able to continually uh, just organize things
Well,
like the actual church, and making sure that the facilities were prepared to host like over 300 people. And then things like food and catering, and also the speakers, and, everything that goes into an event. So, them physically being there was helpful, because then they could actually get on site and like plan out how everything was going to go. And Chad was like the spiritual muscle behind it, like putting together all the branding and rallying a whole bunch of people to help out in a variety of ways. So,
yeah, I think in like Sam's version, maybe they were thinking about possibly doing something already, maybe. And then it all just kind of came together. But yeah, I didn't know that this existed. So I heard about it from Sam's YouTube channel, because I did know Sam because of he got the algo fed him, or fed me, him talking to Jordan Hall, because Jordan Hall talked to Vervaeke a bunch of times and stuff, and I watched a ton of Vervaeke, and then but those were the only those were the only episodes of Sam I ever watched. And then he like had Jordan Hall on again, and then he announced Midwestuary at the beginning. And my wife and I had just thought of possibly going to Toronto to do a Vervaeke event thing, which would have been extremely expensive, but it was just too short notice for us to be able to do it. Then I found out about this thing. We gotta go. This is awesome. So cheap in Chicago. Okay. But we had to prepare to be in a room with people, because I was just trying to think, like, except for going to the movies, probably, and like a couple and some comedy shows, being in a room with a bunch of people, like, yeah, it was probably not something we'd done in like years. And like a social, like you might talk to them, kind of a thing. Yeah, no, definitely not. So we had like this whole protocol of how are we gonna go there, and then like have an estuary group, and we did a little bit of research leading up to it of like, okay, because I think I don't think I'd ever heard of estuary. I had found Sam's group on the local meetup, and I saw like the lobster and whatever, and I was like, oh, like will it be a conservative support group, which kind of is, but so I didn't go, but and also that was like pandemic too, so I was like, oh, I wonder if they're even doing it in person. I don't know if they did or not, but yeah, so then it all came, and I didn't even realize that Sam was the same guy who like that it was his meetup or anything until I reached out to him like, hey, thanks for setting up this thing I get to come to. So yeah, we had this whole protocol, and even though we're in the same city, we were like, I think we actually took Ubers all the way there every day, because I was like, I can't be socializing for like, like let's look at the thing again. I mean, this is like, this one was pretty slam packed. Like, look at the itinerary here. This
We
is
were
like
ambitious. Yes.
8 a.m. to 9 p.m.
I think the only thing we sacrificed, was an estuary. I think one of the last estuaries didn't happen.
Yeah,
The schedule was too intense.
Yeah, it would have been great to have another one at the end, like a closing out. And something I've learned, because I went to another conference. It's like it'd be good if somebody could bring up toward the end, well, not that you need to. Okay, you don't need to bring this up. That like, hey, we might want to like share our contact info or like connect on the Discord or something, so that maybe we could talk if we want. Like you don't want it to be like forceful or anything, but that was something that my group didn't like think to do, and nobody said anything. And then I think I saw like almost a year later, oh, they did it on the Discord somewhere. Some people like, and then I was like, oh, I can find this guy that I've been trying to talk to for like a year. So then I added him. But also, it'd be good if somebody at the end was like, hey, let's take a picture of our group, because I'll Cut It Out was in Paul's group, and they did take a picture, and it was cool. But we didn't think to do that, so we didn't do that. But yeah, I wondered about other people's, because you hear about this like conference burnout and stuff, and people stay up all night, and then they get up at 8 and they keep like doing the thing. And we like very actively were like, well, we're not going to make it if we do that. So at the end of the thing, we'd be like, okay, that was nice. Go straight home, get in bed, sleep, get up, ride in, and it made it a lot more tolerable. And then we felt less, burned out at the end. But also, it's very different just going to these events in the estuary versus like you're hanging out with your friends who you only know from online and whatever.
Yeah, it's the one and only time I got to meet 3 people in the chat: Mr. Copperman, Mr. Pilotson, Mr. Skankenstein. It's the only time I got to meet the 3 people in person. Yeah, the infamous Signal chat that you are now part of, and Nick also. It's the only time I got to meet him.
I'm under the impression there are many Signal chats.
Yeah,
except that Luke starts all of them.
There's
and then leaves them.
Okay, like, so there's like the real hierarchy of Signal chats
and himself.
Yeah, so there's like the real hierarchy of Signal chats, which is like the PVK Signal chat, and then there's like the shadow hierarchy of Signal chats, and I like the shadow hierarchy of Signal chats.
Yeah, so I'm not in the. I want to be in the Paul one. How do I get in the? What do you got to do? I can't help you there. I got to be baptized. Get into the Paul one. What's the deal with that?
But I've had an intuition that I do more good being mostly in the shadows. I've had that intuition.
Okay, so question for you: Did you go to the Thursday barbecue in the park?
I did. Yeah, I was there.
Yeah. Because we skipped this barbecue because again we didn't know anyone at all. Like I was thinking, we're probably some of the few people who, like, the only people we were aware of existing there were Paul, John, Jonathan, Sam, and Grizz, I think. So it's like, and maybe, and Chad just before the thing, though. Those others we'd known about for years. Only we knew of Chad leading like up to the thing. And I could recognize him by his uh, denim. So yeah, we didn't come to the barbecue. Although
I met Ron Copperman for the first time at the barbecue, and he was almost exactly the way I hoped and expected he would be. So,
oh yeah, and well, yeah. So we didn't do it that time, but then we went to Southeastuary, and we did go to the barbecue. And the first person that we met at the barbecue was Grizz. And I think the first thing that he said was like, "Are you weird internet people? Are you more weird internet people?" And we were like, "Yeah." Um yeah, that was weird. Just the Rod. So I'd never heard of Rod. I remember there was some guy who came to our local estuary and I was talking to him about it. And I was like, "Yeah, I'd never heard of Rod or whatever." He's like, "Rod's by far the most famous person that was there."
yeah,
And I
yeah,
was
he's
like, "I don't care at all." But it was interesting that when he got up to do his keynote, the entire thing was on a Tarkovsky art film, and that was really weird because that's our former religion is film, and you know, uh, yeah. By the way, kind of here, I'll share this tab instead. I feel like this could be used for some. This could probably be used for some branding, really. Come on. Is this doing the audio? How does this work? Are you doing audio? Yeah. I feel like this.
I'm gonna go get my cigars. I'll be right back. I am listening though.
I just feel like the beginning of this clip when he lights the candle, that could be like queued up with the smoking break thing. Anyway, the scene's 12 minutes of that pretty much, but Tarkovsky is a wonderful filmmaker. Particularly
Hang on,
interesting is his
my
film,
progeny is at my door. One moment.
particularly the film, Stalker. Kind of has some stuff. Uh, uh, I don't know. I think some like old movies. It's like this is just like some random clip that's reposted. So if they're not getting hit, then I assume I'm not gonna probably. But yeah. Um. So what was the cookout like? Because this was your first big event. Yeah.
Um, it was small enough to be. I don't know. I had more excitement than anxiety, I guess, over meeting many people that I knew online, and yeah, any way you slice it, it's funny, right? So either I'm eating my cigar, or I'm lighting my taquito on fire, which is a little bit charred at the end. It's Mexican though, so it's kosher, you know. But oh, hang on, my wife just texted me.
Yeah, we had a
wait, hang on, one moment.
experience. We had a profound experience seeing Andrei Rublev in the movie theater. They had like a showing of like a new, remaster or something, and it was really cool. And yeah, my only awareness of Orthodox Christianity was from movies, and it was that movie and the movie Nymphomaniac, probably. Barbecue.
That's
Apparently,
not an Orthodox movie, I don't think.
yeah, but yeah. Um, okay, so tell me about your estuary group. I'm.
Wait, I didn't even talk about the
Yeah,
barbecue.
we'll talk about it.
There's a bunch of people.
Taco
bunch of
about
people,
it.
yeah, maybe about 10
I'll
people
smoke your
that
taquito and taco about it.
taquitos are way better than tacos because you got to get the flour ones. I don't know why anyone would ever have corn taquitos. It's just an absolute
Neither do
travesty.
I, and I'm from Illinois, and I still don't.
Yeah. There are probably about 10 to 12 people that I had only met online at that point that were at the barbecue. The barbecue, I would say, was a more online centric event, like people TLC versus coming for the speakers. So, and there was one guy with his wife that they were very excited coming out of Midwestuary, and they came out of the lurk, and but then, and they also have 3 kids, but like, there's kind of a common pattern where, people get really excited because they found something that is really, really great, but then that leads to things in their real life that are physical, in person, basically take the place that the online space was taking in terms of like, once you kind of sort yourself out, like where you're going, what you're doing, a lot of people move back into the physical activities and they're fine, and that was the case, I think, for some of the people that were at the barbecue. Um, but yeah, there are definitely people who are at the barbecue that are still very active in the TLC today. Ron's an example. Grim, of course, Chad, and Nate Heil. Did his barbecue thing. Does it great. He had some help though. I forget who was helping him cook, and there were some other people. I think I met Rigel at that barbecue. I didn't really talk to Rigel that much, which was a mistake because Rigel's a real gentleman. And I also have some, what's the word? Sorrow. I forgot to include Rigel's channel in something that's in worldly news. And I'm quite, but like, I finished it and I was like, no, it's great. I don't want to mess with the thing. And anyway, so I just want to tell Rigel
Rigel was one of the few people who I saw at Midwestuary and remembered based on his appearance only.
Yeah.
Although when I later found his channel and then met him, when I saw him, I think I thought he was from like, I don't know, like Iceland or something. Like he just seemed like he's from another, he's some kind of like Nordic giant or something. But he's from California. Chad,
Yo,
you were at the barbecue.
yeah. So the way that the barbecue needs to be properly discussed is,
Yes. Set us straight.
I got a contact from a guy from 2 different people who were like, I want to help out. One guy was like, I used to run a pizza joint. I have a lot of experience cooking. I said, cool. I I didn't really talk with the guy a whole lot beforehand, um, but turns out it was JZEP, and then another guy named Bill, and then a lady, I can't remember her name now. Maybe Laura or Lauren, and they three helped out, and they helped out. What's up, Bison? They helped out Nate, and they were like, "Dude, just go and talk to people. You don't need to do anything." And that was like really cool because um, I like to do that. I like to go and meet all of the different people that I can, and
You had
also like
a little baby at that time.
right. Well, and Carolyn and Anne showed up at like a little bit into the thing, so I'd already done enough mingling in that. But we were only supposed to have like we couldn't get like a solid number on who would show up, so we just figured maybe 100 people would show up or something. But it was like at least 150 people or more, and it was just like. And then we did eventually run out of food, but then we had so much donated money that we ended up getting more food. I think Brandon from the I think it was Brandon from the Chicago estuary got some more food and made some more. And I mean, the parking lot was completely full at that little, there was like a little, like a little thing that you park at and stuff. Um, it was so awesome, dude. Like, I was so happy to see everybody. They had people walking around talking. There was like, it was just so much conversation happening in that, uh, at that thing. And I talked with, like, I sat down and finally got to sit down and meet Dan, one of the other guys who helped put together the conference. Sat with him and talked for a while. Um, had dinner with them. Him and I think his wife was there too. And and then I talked to one of the twin brothers who was like the guy whose twin brother, like the one guy likes Trump, the other guy doesn't like Trump. The guys that were randoing with PBK, he was there. He talked to me about my daughter. Carolyn was 6 months at the time. So it was awesome. It was such a great time that I think I'll remember that for the rest of my life.
Yes, we are talking about Midwestuary. This is a Midwestuary reflection stream because I set a little reminder on the calendar for when it was a year, and it's been a year since the Friday. Bison, were you at the Midwestuary?
No, I just suddenly realized I should leave.
No, it's all good.
When I saw your title, and then
You
I
could show up
saw
with FOMO.
when I saw your title, and I saw Neil's comments about Tarkovsky, that's why I came on. But
Oh yeah, you got to come on to talk about this. Well, yeah, at Midwestuary, this guy Rod, whatever, his entire keynote address was about the movie Nostalgia, and it was so strange for my wife and I because we don't really know that much about this, like the corner and stuff, and we've never heard of Rod Dreher or whatever. And then he gets up and he starts talking about Tarkovsky, and we're just like, this is, we're supposed to be here. I think, it was so strange that he like breaks down this like, yeah, art film that we've seen, and yeah, it was the most surreal, I would say, moment.
that's
He
fantastic.
Everything
He
about
just talks about that movie for 30 minutes.
okay,
He explains the whole movie.
You got to take into consideration what was going on in Rod Dreher's life at that time. Like he was going through his meaning crisis.
listen,
Not
everything
about-
about that weekend, everything about everybody's keynote was so bizarre to me. Nothing went as predictable as you thought it might go, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah, and like it was wild that he explained the entire plot of Nostalgia, and he was basically confessing that he had lived it, like he had been the lead character. And it's not like a lead character you'd like brag that you identified with. It's sort of humiliating to say that you're that character. So I admired that, but I did not know him. Brilliant. Oh, he's got a cigar.
That's a real
Yeah.
one.
What's up?
Bro,
Hey, fellas.
what's up, dude?
It's been a while.
It
Dude,
has.
I have so many memories of Midwestuary with Nick Freerillian, dude. Like, well, first of all, let Nick go because then I want to get nostalgic because this is great. Yeah, go ahead. What's up, Nick?
So Nick, you were at the Midwestuary.
I was.
Did you come up for the cookout?
So I was in the Shadow Cabal fancy dinner, actually.
What is the Shadow Cabal fancy?
The Orthodox dinner.
Yeah, there was a Supra, and I received an anonymous invite / donation, so I just was able to show up with my wife and go to this Supra, which for us was awesome. Yeah, so I was like seated between, it was like Elizabeth Oldfield, my wife, myself, and John Vervaeke.
Whoa!
Just showing up out of nowhere, just normies from the Midwest. So that was quite the bang to start off with.
That's nuts. Yeah, that's I never. I guess I had heard that there was this Supra or whatever, but wow. So what date was that? On the Thursday then?
It was the night of the cookout.
Yeah, night of the cookout.
So while the plebes were, out in the field, the aristocracy toasted.
And did you know who Elizabeth Oldfield was and all those people and everything?
I think I knew of Oldfield because maybe PVK had done some commentary before the conference, or a conversation perhaps, but I've never followed her a lot. I was pretty familiar with Rod. I'd read his book Benedict Option, and obviously knew everyone else, knew of everyone else pretty well.
Yeah, well, that just reminded me. I didn't know all the people, but leading up to it, we watched a couple kind of promotional things where they had different people on. So we watched a thing where they had on Rod, and they had on Annie Crawford, and who wasn't a speaker, but she was there. And then that was interesting because she was in my estuary group. Shout out to Group 19. And then that was kind of cool because it was sort of like I knew a little bit about her before.
Yeah, dude, I remember that pre-estuary with Vervaeke and Crawford. Yeah, I remember that.
Yes, yeah.
Trying to find my estuary badge.
We got him at
I have stuff I got from Upcycle Club. Yeah, Upcycle. Let me show you something. Yeah, so I met Harris at Midwestuary. He gave me these lemon delights. I imagine them as the Cyprus version of Turkish delight from Chronicles of Narnia. And yeah, they were really good. I ate them way too quick. My family enjoyed them too. So,
but you kept the box. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and He gave me one other thing. Sorry, he gave me one other thing, but I don't want to brag about it. So
Now, Matt, how long had you been around before Midwestuary?
Sorry, I'm trying to improve my lighting situation. I know I'm in the presence of a true lighting connoisseur.
shine us on with
Who's
your
off
forehead,
camera
sir.
right now.
Well, we can't all be sepia, you know. I mean, you can if you go into the settings, but
Yeah. I think it had been like a year and a half, maybe two. My sense
similar to
of
Neil.
Midwestuary is that things really felt like they really got into motion by Midwestuary, at least for me. I hadn't gone to Chino. I hadn't been to those those ancient antediluvian events that people talk about in the distant past now, several eras before this one. But Midwestuary was the real one where it felt like things were activated. It, it got real then. It's been real ever since. So
What was the coolest
Chino.
thing?
Sorry.
It was just saying it was the coolest thing to come in through this Midwestuary pipeline because you're coming into this big event. There's some speakers that you maybe are going to know or whatever. But then you're in estuary groups and you're just talking to people about all of those people came for the speakers in a sense or because they were already aware of the TLC. So in my case, and I think in a lot of people's cases, you're sitting in a room talking to people about this part of the internet or whatever for the first time ever. Like it's the first time you've talked to other people about any of this. And Allison and I went into different groups. So then it's like we're both talking to other people for the first time about all this stuff. And that was really interesting. And also, we didn't know about, I think this is also going to be true of a lot of people. They don't really know about the TLC. They come for like some of those big speakers or whatever. And even at the end, I don't think I really understood that there was like a flotilla. I think I just knew that like I knew there was like the Grim Grizz show, and I knew that like Chad had a channel. But, like I didn't know that
I have a
everyone.
question about that.
Yeah, Neil.
What differentiates this from just the guys who follow and do stuff at John Vervaeke's events?
What do you mean?
Doesn't Vervaeke, in short, like have a flotilla also? Like he has people that he does these circling events with, and people show up to the circling. So yeah.
I think that the difference is because I had gone to prior to this, I'd gone to one of Vervaeke's online circling into Dialogos things, and
oh, cool.
I think the real difference is like there's a guy that was in my group at that thing, and I still subscribe to his channel, and he's like talked to Vervaeke a couple of times. But I think that the difference is that even if Vervaeke has some people on his channel or he talks to them, like they don't all keep hanging out. Like they don't all do each other's shows and actually become friends. They're more like colleagues. It has a more collegiate kind of vibe, that part of things. So I think that that's a big difference in why and it doesn't feel like a flotilla. And I don't think that there are like, I don't think that they have anything to connect around like the way that Paul's channel works and the way that the Grizz show works. I don't think that they have anything like that either. But I think that's a big difference. Yes, you can still speak. Anyone can speak at any time, actually.
Is it that they have like is a friendship a lack of is friendship relationality without guardrails, whereas what they have is like it's a relationality, it is a friendship, but it's within specific parameters that they do these activities with these people in this way.
Yeah, that's what I was like trying to get at with like it's all academic kind of. It's like it never gets too personal, or it's only personal in service to this like academic kind of thing or something. So it's like they take these roles. Yeah, it's it's like it's a little bit more professional or something. And
So yeah,
there wasn't a sense going to that online thing. Like there wasn't really a sense that you could that there was even a way to stay in touch with these people. And I'd explored a little on the Verveki Discord, and um, it didn't have that. It just didn't have the like all these people are friends in real life thing. And I think that the live streams and the videos together is such a huge part of that to the incoming person, because it's like you see that people really are friends, and you can tell, and you can tell right away. I mean, you can tell 10 minutes into a video like the relationship of the people speaking to each other. Like, are they really friends, or is it kind of just like we're doing an interview, or we're talking about and a lot of the Verveki side of things that makes me probably gag the most is sort of like the sense that it's people talking about their work, and they're like citing stuff. Ugh.
what I thought was awesome. So JZAP comes, and I didn't know. Like I said, I didn't know anything. I get there. The guy has he's got like heating, like set up like these heaters, coolers for like keeping food warm. He comes totally prepared. He drove like I don't know how many hours. It's like whatever, 8 hours or something. He and this other guy who they still talk with, I guess, Bill, who they didn't really know each other before that. And then Jay's up's running around handing out like these like dice, the Grim Grizz dice. He's just handing them out to different people. And then he gave me like a set of guitar strings and a set of guitar pick. And he gave me a hug. And then we like I have his phone number. That's one kind of like personal relationship. And then like sitting there wasn't really anything academic about going to the hotel bar out and like crashing the wedding balcony with like 8 of us, and they're smoking cigars and some are getting shit faced, some are not, and we're having these great conversations. We got one ortho bro sitting there shit faced saying, I'm so much better than you guys, you pieces of shit. It was so funny. Like, I won't say who that was, but it was funny. And it was, it was very, beautiful to have those conversations. And there was nothing academic about sitting in that booth. Like, I think it was Sunday, maybe, no, Friday night. I can't remember which night it was, but I was with Nick and Jess, and we listened to one of the Screw Tape Letters, and I wept. There was nothing really academic about that. And then watching. I remember standing there at the very end watching this thing that I didn't think was possible when Mo said that he wanted to do the Saints March In as the exiting song. I thought he was insane. That would be the most ridiculous thing that ever happened. And when it happened, I couldn't believe it. I was so full of gratitude that I was like trying to just watch it all as it was happening, because I thought, this is never going to happen ever in the universe. This is such a cool thing to be a part of. And to me, like, to have some hand in contributing to something that to me feels like more than just like a get together, more than academics, more than and all of those things at the same time. You know, it's hard to say what exactly it was, but yeah.
Do any of you recall anything about your estuary groups? The vibe, anything you talked about, like what was the impression? And had any of you guys done estuary before?
Well, one thing, Ezra, I think you are known for having a particularly good estuary experience. That's one thing that stands out, right? Like you had a great estuary,
Yeah, it was awesome. And so
and
was my wife's too.
mm, but
They were
reviews were mixed. For me, I had two people without a filter compete to suck the oxygen out of the room and talk about their pet philosophical theories, like they were on a podcast that they've always tried to get on, and they finally got the mic. So
that's
after
happened.
after the first one of those and the second one, which was a repeat, and I realized it wasn't going to get reined in, I just went out and had meals. I had a great lunch, and then I gave myself a great breakfast the following morning. I just crashed out of estuary completely. I tried to hang
You
out
were
with
able to
Lisa.
find some deer in Chicago?
Yeah. Local
Chicago
cuisine, like
PD comes and finishes the thing off.
yeah, I just went to a Greasy Spoon down the way by myself, and that was a better experience than estuary. But that's kind of the thing. That's the chat. I guess that's the excitement that you have about estuary. Is it really is a roll of the dice? You have no
When you
idea what
need a
you're going to get.
great estuary leader to save a bad enough ship.
Well, that gets awkward because my estuary leader was running. He was the showrunner for a future regional event. So I don't want to throw him under the bus
Oh no, I'm not
directly.
saying it's his fault or anything, but like I'm saying that if the people, like if you got people who are, enough determined enough to suck all the oxygen, like you'd have to have a really
Yeah.
assertive, powerful, whatever, to be like, yeah, okay, you're shutting up now, and some people just you don't have the kind of personality or stature to be like
Mm-hmm.
keep it on the rails. It might not even be possible. But yeah, ours was really interesting, and like the I mean, it helped that we had two pastors, I think, and then our leader was I think had done a lot of similar types of leading, and then we had Annie Crawford, and then you know um, somebody who came from interested in the keto diet, who came
She was
like Kayla Peterson to
she was in my estuary in Northwestuary.
yeah, and that was so it was really interesting, the eclectic like because there were just some different types. I think there was another guy who was a little bit more on the cog side and his interests were like more into computer science and all this other stuff, and it was like really and then there was like a young Orthodox guy. It was just really, yeah, that was like really interesting, and then it was kind of like there's this many people, like there's this many different types of people that like wanted to come to this. It was that was really cool. But that's interesting. Like, yeah, if it had sucked, I might be maybe I'd be off maybe I'd be off estuary.
But it's interesting, Ezra. One of the things you're doing with the term flotilla, which I think ties into your estuary observations in a way, because flotilla, classically defined, I think just means content creators in the TLC. I think, and that's not how you're using it. And And I think this dovetails with your estuary experience. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you're identifying like some sort of genuine hospitality that that goes like at a horizontal level that you could see and feel, and you could taste that across the internet.
Oh
You
yeah,
know, and you
definitely.
got that in the room too, in a way, and that was your first chance to see. Well, does can this exist in the same real space? And it did as well, which is cool. Is that right?
Yeah, definitely.
Mm,
And
that's cool.
yeah, and I remember like when they did the OG randos. Uh,
That was weird.
I didn't have any idea that like multiple of those people had channels. Like that wouldn't have occurred to me that they would all have channels. Uh, just
Wow.
was like, oh, they were like, I guess they were randos, and then they like, maybe somebody mentioned like a couple of channels. I was like, oh, maybe they would like go on live streams a bit or something. So really, like, it was. I haven't, like, is there anything else like this? Like, yeah, I don't. I've certainly not come across it anywhere else surrounding like Vervaeke or even Pajot. Like I see that they sometimes do like video things, but like if you see some of those Symbolic World like fans or whatever do videos together, um, I think I've seen them do like one or something that was like affiliated, but it's all about the ideas. It's not there's no personal yeah, there's just like no personal relationship development or anything. And so being introduced to it that way, and then and I can't remember if I saw like I can't remember if we watched uh, like probably I don't even know if we'd seen a Grizz show. I'm not sure if we had or not. I knew who he was.
How did so if you hadn't seen a Grizz show, how did all the branding strike you as like first impression?
Yeah, so like that's why I'm saying I don't think we'd seen like maybe we'd seen one episode or something or I can't remember because I remember having a very strong reaction to the branding. Um it,
But that was
it
all Chad.
and that I don't know if I knew that it was all Chad.
But something I would say, especially up to that point, probably 50% of the branding that was played on Grizz's channel was from
Yeah.
this guy.
Yeah, I think that we had maybe seen a tiny bit of the Grizz show enough maybe that I recognized that it's like the same vibe. But it was so weird because it was like I had basically been trying to reverse engineer the TLC for years. I was thinking that there had to be something like this, that there had to be a way, but this is how I conceived of it. I conceived of it as there had to be a way to do the arts that wasn't like fandom. It wasn't like idol fandom shit.
No. Okay. We substituted parasocial fandom for interpersonal fandom. That's what we substituted.
Mm.
Like that is actually what got me out of the lurk is like I realized, oh, I could actually meet my new idol is probably too strong a word, but like people that I really wanted to meet. And I
It's
was
like
like,
a
oh, they're not celebrities. I can actually have like yeah. I don't know. The whole parasocial thing was never something that appealed to me. You know, I never had like someone I never had idol worship as a kid, really. I mean historical figures maybe, but not
Well,
something like yeah, go ahead, Nick.
okay, I've pitched this analogy for the TLC before, but there's that scene in Brave New World where I think it's the wife goes into the room and it's like a TV room, like every wall is a character in a soap opera, and she gets to like participate in the soap opera, and the characters on the wall.
That's Bradbury. That's Fahrenheit 451.
Oh, okay. Um, TLC is like, okay, we've accepted this. This is a world, and we're just going to make it so you can actually like talk back, not to a script, like you don't, but like meet the people in the wall. That's how one way I've imagined it, and actually what TLC could be, because there are plenty of people who have made the right choice of like they've come and then they've went, they have better stuff to do. Most of us are probably on the internet or our phones way more than we should be. Nevertheless, what TLC can be is like most people are like that, and so it can be a little screen in everyone's little room that they come across this one screen on their wall, and then they can actually interact and have a real conversation with that. So anyway, that's how I've tried to picture it.
Well, what's interesting for me is that's what actually encouraged me to start my own channel. Was I saw that there was these guys over on the Randos United channel that were doing that. And I was confused because I'm like, who the hell do these guys think they are? Like, bad enough there's this Paul Vanderlei guy who's like grifting off of Jordan Peterson. Like, what's this all about? And then I started noticing that like Luke and these guys were. That's what inspired me. I'm like, oh, I could do a thing, and so that's what I started to do. And then, so I think that is a pattern that is in the DNA. It's a generative pattern, maybe. So, and I don't know if you can hear Ann over there. She's probably talking.
That's
Can you hear?
that's so interesting that some of what you said just dovetails, because like, so I knew about Paul because he would talk to Vervaeke and Pajot, and I knew that Paul did randos, which is that anybody could talk to him, but I didn't find that surprising, because I thought, well, if he's a pastor, he's like doing pastoral whatever on the internet. The idea that any of those people would ever speak to each other would never have entered my mind in a million years. And then when I think I did see him, like Algo showed me, like, oh, here he is talking to, Chad the alcoholic, and it's like a dude in a mask or whatever, and I was like, oh, are these just like, I assumed, like he's probably like drunk and streams, and like maybe
That's pretty much
maybe he
it.
has a channel that's like a weird grifty thing, and that Paul will talk to him because he's like a pastor or whatever or something. And so I was just like, didn't look at it long enough. I didn't look at it for 30 seconds. I didn't look at it long enough to see what it was even. And so yeah, I did not think that it would be any of those things, and I was thinking that there needed to be a way forward that was more personal, and I think that probably I'm assuming that part of this was coming, well, because we mentioned a little bit earlier, like the difference and fandom and like idol whatever, and like Neil, you were saying you never were into that or whatever, but like even if you were into that, or even if you were like had artists you looked up to, which I definitely did. I used to have basically an icon wall, because I saw this guy in a movie do it, where he had like all of the artists he liked on like a wall. So I had like an icon wall of all these like people I looked up to. And then over the next 10 years, my esteem for those people went to pretty much zero, and sometimes into the negatives, depending on them. And so that was probably part of the impetus of like, there has to be a different way of doing this, like gross thing of celebrity connected to the arts. And as somebody who wanted to be an artist, it was like, well, I don't want to do it. Like, I'd rather, I don't want to do it the way that it's being done. And the only way I'm going to do it is if there's some other way to do it, and I have to do it. So that was what I was thinking about, and that led me to find this, and basically like see Chad's branding at Midwestuary and be like, oh, this is like it. This is it. This is almost exactly what I've been looking for. And then to see the Grizz show and be like, this is exactly it. Like, and you know, at a in Austin, I was like, there were people who didn't know what the TLC was, who had come to the estuary thing, and Paul was trying to explain it, and I'm like trying to explain to him branding, and I'm just like, it's the coolest thing in the world. Like, it's commercials that the audience makes. Like, think about that.
For each other.
Yeah, like think about what we're doing to invert the very nature of like what television was supposed to be, or like what media has become.
See, I didn't even make that commercial connection until you mentioned it. And when you mentioned it, I was like, oh, duh. Like I was thinking about it in terms of memory. I was thinking about it in terms of there was a common strand in many things that Chad made, which was combining something old with something new and jarring to almost kind of like force you to remember something. Uh, but I didn't connect that to the commercial. Whereas the commercial is always about the new and the fancy and the slick and the polished. And Chad's like, no, 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 no. Commercial. Remember the 150-year-old thing. Remember.
I mean, everything about the Grizz show is like an inversion for the good of all of the evil of television. You know, like the idea that it's that you can be, that the whole point is that you feel not alone. Where
That's why I brought up that analogy, which apparently is from Fahrenheit, not Brave New World. It's like the tyranny of set, but like reverse, like reaching back, like the very thing that isolated you or isolated everyone in their own little silo. It's like someone enters the silo through the screen and then tries to get you out of your own isolation.
that was such a good point too, with the that she read a script, like all of her lines were written, because that's like that reminded me of when I was talking about the horror of the Hollywood biopics, where like no one can be real anymore. It's like the most conformist society that ever existed. So all we can do is we can pretend to be people who used to be nonconformists back in the 70s or 80s. And then you'll just read the lines of what they maybe said. And that's so horrifying to me. But yeah, I was saying too at Austin that it's like we've been propagandized to for 100 years that what's on the screen is real. It's like more real than reality, and that you're. So it's like maybe we have to go. Maybe we feel that we have to go on the screen to become real, and and it is like yeah, it's like the inverse of Fahrenheit. It's like you go on the screen only instead of like having. You can even come on having your little lines prepared. You know, your little things you've been programmed to say, and then the person will just be like, "So, tell me about the home you grew up in."
Yeah, but the thing
And you'll
about
be
it is
like,
so
"Oh,
beautiful. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah,
Sorry,
what were you
dude.
saying, Chad?"
I was thinking like what's so beautiful about it is that like to me all of the branding, because I've never thought any of the branding out that like in the way that Neil just said. So it's funny that he picked that up, but whatever. But I think it's interesting is like everything that I'm doing is kind of ironic, but it's ironic in a way that's trying to gift and like give something to my friends. So it ends up being like sincerity at the heart of it, even though it's using irony to play with things. And yeah, so that
You know, I'm wondering, Ezra, like, how do your journey from that artist icon wall to a space like this, where you're still an artist, but you're not like, are you still hanging out with artists? Maybe you are hanging out with artists. Are we? You know what I mean? Like, it's, to the extent maybe that some folks are making branding, which you were attracted to, as we all were. But Chad's a remarkably attractive artist. But like, how do you square that circle? Like finding a community where you're not necessarily jamming with people because of their artistic prowess. Maybe you're just jamming with them because of the people that they are. Maybe. Uh, I don't know. What do you think? You see
That
what I'm trying to get at in a
yes.
way.
Well,
Yeah.
that just sounds very much along the lines of what I was already thinking.
Hmm.
Like I was thinking, if I ever have a band, it can't be like players that are good. I don't care about that. And that like it's kind of funny
Yeah.
too, because like now, if I try to describe what I think, AI is so obviously the way to describe it. But I didn't think about it that way. Of course, before we had like LLMs, but it's like when the LLMs came out, and then it was like Hollywood was renegotiating their contracts or whatever about AI, and it was like Hollywood movies are already AI. Like they're as AI
Yeah.
as you could possibly be. They're like Chat GPT, 1.0 or whatever. Like that's the level of
But
but
it was there was and there is, but it's fading. There is still enough enchantment to believe in to believe in what the real people are presenting. There's still enough enchantment. Meaning that in effect it is like it is the same as if you believed in the AI character. If like you saw Matt Damon, but if you saw the AI version of Matt Damon and you believed that AI version of Matt Damon was a real person,
what do you say?
but what I'm saying is that like my inability to touch the movie stars or become one with the movie, that doesn't matter because they still exist in reality, and that it's like a Cinderella thing. Like I'm aspiring to be like or care about, or whereas in the AI, like I can't aspire to be like
Right.
the there's
Yeah, so I think that
what I'm trying to do is like I'm trying to imagine like why people care so much about the realness of the actors that they have no direct contact with.
yeah. That's definitely uh, I mean, I think since the Enlightenment, we're trying to make the artists be our saints, and it's just not working because they're often just terrible people, but also just that they're not committed to the good necessarily either. And maybe some of the problems with the way that we're doing the arts too, like all makes it worse. But like you can see that that's what we do. I mean that uh, uh, we and actually it's interesting because this is actually there's some woke stuff that I actually think is uh, correct in a sense, which is like the desire to like have the people that we look up to be moral exemplars and be like uh, these more saintly people or something. Like I was thinking that I was thinking like, wait, we need we need people that are as good of artists as some of these people, the actually great ones, who are like morally good people. That would be that'd be great. But they need to be as weird and screwed up as the. They still need to make that art, but they need to not be like that.
That's interesting.
But but yeah, like all uh, like I see it now as like leading towards like there like could there be high like because in a sense like Chad talked about how this is all actually like the Rogan sphere. like there's the Rogan sphere, and then there's like this Jordan Peterson part of it, and then whatever, and then in there's like the TLC, and all of that has the spirit of friendship is a huge part of all of that. It's a huge part of the Joe Rogan experience, is that it's like a show he started mostly with his actual friends. I mean, they're comedians, so it's like, the degree of friendship might be different, but like that is part of it. And it's like, and I think that there's enough of the spirit of friendship in the cosmic background religion that, like, that's what we're running society on, is the remnants of what's left of that. And it's just like gone almost to the total breaking point. And I'm jumping around slightly because just a lot got said, but I'm also thinking about how, like, when we're talking about AI versus like the actors, that makes me just think about the period I went through maybe like 10 years ago more, was like trying to disentangle the reality of the arts from the bauble, like from the AI, I would say. Like, so there's like an AI tabloid and like artificial, the idea of DiCaprio and Damon and these people and the directors and all, like there's all this, the mythos, but then there's also a reality behind it. And that's show business, where it's like that this is all always fake, and it's basically like they're magicians. But
Yeah, I mean that
Yeah.
enchantment is fading all around. So you have the enchantment of the real people because everything is social media, paparazzi. Like the personal lives of the actors and all of their shortcomings are more transparent than ever before. But that destroys the mythos that you were talking about, because actors, the number one thing actors are basically taught is like, don't say anything substantive, because anything substantive would distract from the character that you're trying to play.
Well, I think what's happening is I'm sorry, is this working?
yeah,
Uh, there's like I think what happened is vaudeville on accident, like vaudeville kind of like resurrected by accident. But it wasn't like, the thing about the difference is in vaudeville they were looking to entertain and make money at it. But the similarities is like a lot of them were local, some were a little more well known than others. But the point I'm trying to get at here is, like, you might know the dude who's up on stage doing his tap dancing thing, and he might talk to you about the fact that his dad started believing in God in a different way, and that really sucks for him, and he's trying to figure out how to help him. And that and another guy who's like, just maybe running the lights at the vaudeville show or something, or playing the piano or some shit that some guy never heard of, talking about how he's got concerns that his child is dealing with transhumanism. So what I'm getting at is like the reason why I like what happened at the Midwestuary was like, I sat in my estuary group was like, there was a self identified pagan, and then there was a pastor, and then there was a priest, and then there was like a farm dude, and like, it was so awesome to have these conversations. And the priest that was in my estuary meeting is the priest at my church that I go to now, and I didn't even know. Like, he didn't even know what this little corner of the internet was. Like, he went there, I think, probably for like Rod Dreher or something. And so it's weird that I landed in his church.
Wow.
But yeah, so it's like, there is something about the like being forced in a position to have to, if you want to play around here and see something cooler and more interesting, that the friendship, the spirit of friendship and the personal is like the actual thing that holds together, not some like potential getting making it. You know what I mean?
Neil, what was your estuary group like? Do you have any memory of it? Were you in one of the
Yeah.
aforementioned ones?
So Christian Baxter was in my group. Also Gray Hamilton. So I got to meet Gray in person for the first time. We exchanged information, stayed in touch after Midwestuary. So that was really cool. I knew Christian ahead of Midwestuary, but we got to meet in person for the first time. That was great. And we also had some more agnostic atheist types, and we had some very staunchly religious types, and that created some very interesting early dynamics where people passionately talked about Christ, and the other side was, "Hey, don't push your God on me, pal." And it was fun from the get go. So
That brings up another way I've kind of imagined whatever TLC is a digital version of is like there was a question there for a while of like whether or not like PBK plays that clip over and over again of the pastor from New York who's since passed away. I'm totally blanking. Reformed fella. Where's Matt C when I need him?
Keller.
Keller, thank you. Keller, where he's like, well,
Helen Keller.
I really want society to be what's the word you use? Like secular, liberal, like, but not in a political way. You know what I mean? Just like no imposed religion, but freedom. You know, freedom is whatever. But he never concludes like, how do we do that? And to me, it's pretty obvious. Like the only thing that can allow for liberal democracy is like cultural Christianity, and I don't mean there as a pejorative. Like in my mind, like that's it, you know. But like there's something about TLC that is that like the unspoken gates, the boundaries is a sort of subdued. Like wow, there's a lot of Christians here, and there's something about that that allows it to be a truly like liberal space when it comes to discussing ideas. Like there's something about TLC that's like the last remnant of like the Christian culture that's not officially Christian that allows for liberal democracy, you know. To me, like TLC seems to be like one of the last places where that's still going on. Like it's largely
Classical liberal spirit.
Classically liberal. Thank you. It's largely Christian, but not officially. You definitely don't have to be. But there's something about that spirit taking up so much space that allows the classical liberalism to actually still be here. So
Is that kind of like the Jewish, like you have like observant Jewish people, and then you have Jewish people who aren't religious at all, but they are ethnically Jewish? Is that what you kind of mean by like? Because I wondered about this, about cultural Christian or ethnic Christians. You know, this it relates to my idea about American ethnicity, and I think that this kind of sorry.
I think it might be a more structural thing. Like it's the fact that because like you could be Jewish or something and not be at all not even be culturally Jewish. But to be culturally, I think that some of what we mean is that there is like maybe a more structural thing. It's like when you talk about the cultural Christianity, I think of like the cosmic background religion, and that the cosmic background religion, you know, like the idea of fellowship towards the good. It's like that it's like a spirit of friendship, but we are. It doesn't end there. It doesn't end just like flat. It's like, but we're towards a higher unity good of the good or whatever.
yeah,
That does a lot on its own.
yeah.
I think the focus on culture is kind of key here, as Nick was talking about the idea that classical liberalism seems to really only work or be active in sort of like, covertly or crypto Christian spaces. I think that's because it is the fruits of, it's the thing that grows out of a world that's kind of baked into like Christian assumptions.
Yeah.
And I think part of the killer thing about like descriptive versus prescriptive secularism is you're dealing with something that is a fruit and we're turning into the telos. So like things have to serve democracy, even if they're very like we have to employ very undemocratic means to serve democracy.
That's interesting. That makes me think of the other, kind of like the other way around, like the foolishly doing non-democratic things to support democracy, thinking that that's supposed to be the telos or something.
It is a gift. It is a gift.
But at the same time, there's like a part of what I see happening in this space is making something that was implicit in the cosmic background religion a more explicit telos, or at least a telos. It's like, well, we're not just being friends because that's what you do. We're being friends because that's the only thing that can possibly save humanity. And I think you can see that difference in like the generationally, perhaps, where I think if you go back a couple generations, you can see the like friendship is like I have friends because that's what you do. And then it's like by the time you're getting to I do it because that's what you do, and there's very little connection to why you ever did it, it's like oozing out, and then eventually nobody knows what it exactly is or how to get it, or and now I think friendship is going to be one of the most explicit topics that you're going to hear about all the time, and then it's going to be sold back to you in various different
That's funny.
packages to try to manipulate your interpretation of what it means and what it's supposed to be for.
For our
what the
platinum
telos of it
tier
should be.
DLC members for $99.95 a month,
Yeah, but
you
dude,
get
We get
access
access to
driver.
one of the exclusive
all of
group
the
chats.
You get the
Yeah,
full
but dude,
mat bundle.
Ezra,
all in
that thing
one,
that you
the
just
value of
talked about,
50 mats in 5.
the way that you just talked about that, Ezra, was like, it sounded like the way that like what happened to sex, basically. Like if you would took everything that you just said and applied to like what happened to sexual relations amongst people, it would kind of like, yeah, that was interesting. I wish I could lay out more of what I've seen there, but I was distracted by myself. Sorry. Also, I'm making spaghetti.
That
Ezra,
reminds me.
do you think are there any darker temptations for an internet community like this one, given those trends that you're describing? Because if the only currency left is friendship, I suppose, and we're online, which is like a space where the last or the way in which you navigate that is to create a profile, like you're talking about, like with Nick reference with the 1984 slash Fahrenheit 451 and the Hollywoodification where everybody now is a character for 5 minutes in Hollywood, in a way, which means everybody becomes like some sort of prophylatic pseudo self where we get to be real by being online. I wonder, like, do we have built in like a community like this, presuming it's not unique, but there's something we might be doing where we have an antibody maybe to just be clicking the link so that we can be
Well, before
Brad
I
Pitt
let
for 5 minutes.
before I let Neil talk, um, the first thing I thought of there was this idea that prophilicity is like sincerity culture with the role of the dissonant removed, and the best antibody that we have is dissonance. And yeah, I think if we lost that kind of punk thing, we'd be pretty screwed. Neil?
Yeah, St. Paul, brothers and sisters in Christ. To the extent that we care about each other and we bind each other, that's how we're bound. Meaning, if any member of the body starts drifting in any particular way, it's up to the rest of us to adhere. You know, any one friend might not be enough for to save someone from temptation, but you got a network of friends. A network of friends is a lot stronger than a single friend at saving a person. And I go to someone like Doubting Thomas, the fact that he didn't believe, but the other apostles made sure he was in the room. They just needed to get him in the room. And that was enough. The other 10.
It's an interesting
Also,
point. Go ahead, Matt.
no, you go, Nick.
Well, I was going to add some color to what's being said here, backing up a bit and putting it in the context of society at large, with the point of like friendship being the only currency remaining. And so many of like the coming up with solutions, whether they be political or whatever, there's this implicit assumption in a lot of things where they just assume everyone's alone. Like we have at present like more expendable income than ever, most people as a society. And like but before we had that much expendable income, like communities took care of each other. Like there was no insurance. The insurance was the community. And so in all these talks of like, you know, whether it's solving healthcare or whatever, and I'm not giving an opinion one way or the other, but everyone's assuming there are no people to take care of each other. That's the implicit assumption in like all of the political discourse. But like the point I'm making is the system does not assume, whatever system is at work right now, it does not assume that real fellowship, like that fellowship is real. That's my intuition. And so the bucket. Go ahead, Neil.
No, my intuition, Nick, is you're spot on, but not only that my intuition is that the system without fellowship is not going to be sustainable. Meaning fellowship and community care is the thing that's going to
It'd be
happen.
really cool if we heard what Nick had to say.
I don't even know where I was heading, because I'm gonna probably just head back to like Christian things. But like I guess what I'm getting at is it, like
You guys are giving a lot of credit to Christ in this.
yeah, I know.
Hope he can handle it.
But
Hope he's got big shoulders.
It always sticks out in my mind that and I shared this with Neil in one of our conversations, like when Christ says greater love has none than this, that one lay down his life for his friends. Like it's like there's something about the nature of the world, like the powers that be, that just are just still not convinced that people will truly lay down their lives for their friends. It's like that's the antidote. Like it's just anyway. I guess that's my conclusion.
My interpretation is that society is currently running on whatever of that spirit is left in the cosmic background religion. And, you know, and that's why I think it's coming back, is because it's like, and we're talking about it explicitly, it's like it got to about as low as you can go, and the society is still the society at all. I mean, you know. And like everybody's obsessed with societal collapse right now as a topic. But yeah.
Does it help that TLC is very obviously unmonetizable? Does that help
Well, that's
too?
what I mean by
Yeah.
the dissonant punk side of it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, what things get monetized where people want to put their care. That's what's cool about it. So if you want to try and help somebody else, which we've seen that before, so we do that. Um,
Oh yeah, we donate to each other.
We pay
Yeah.
our tithe to the
You have
village.
the wrong Matthew, sir.
I don't know how I ended up with this, but
Amazing.
couldn't grab it
Here's
on
the
my way
thing.
out. Help but grab it all the way out the door.
So in the place that I come from before here, in the 12-step groups that I came from, one of the things that they would practice. Okay, so they're always talking about love service, blah blah blah. And then like my spiritual advisor said, if you're doing it right, the person will never know if you like them or not, right? Which is kind of an interesting principle, but that's not what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about is what they would do is they'd be like, all right, Saturday morning, 8 o'clock, after the meeting, we're going to go and we're going to go help Fran, some lady I've never met. We're going to help move her shit to some place, a half hour away just to help her out. And be like, what? They're like, be there or don't, right? Or no, they wouldn't even really give you an option. They'd say, just show up, get in the car. We're going to go. Don't worry, there's going to be food, blah, blah, blah. So what they would do is they would constantly have us like my sponsor would get a bunch of guys just to go help some lady who can't move her own shit, who doesn't have family or friends to help her. We go move her from one apartment to another. So I would say like that idea of like humbling yourself, whether you like it or not, and help somebody move a couch. That's the move, And I think that something we kind of do some of that in the meta space, right? We kind of do some of that couch moving shit around here too. So
What I'm personally invested in now is Dan Jasma's property that he's going to develop into a campsite. Because I see that as like, no matter what campsites are available, no matter how much money anybody has, whatever comes in the future, we have a spot. We have a rendezvous spot. And it's kind of in the center of the country. Not really, but when you think about population distribution, sorry, Mr. Skankenstein, but when you think about population distribution, it's pretty close to the center.
yeah, well, they got us all over the place. You got my backyard. We got the Northwest. They're everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yep.
Recently we were talking about, it's interesting the what you can sell and what you can't. So like you can sell tickets to the conference, okay? Just like you could sell tickets to a summer camp, okay? You cannot sell the friends you make at camp.
Yeah.
You can't. It won't work.
I mean, if
like,
they got an ass like Neil's, you can sell Neil's ass all day long. Sorry, I'll stop. Sorry, continue.
it won't
Belly
be.
button, sir.
Matsy can't even sell a deer because who knows if he'll ever catch another one in his
Oh
hunting career.
dear.
But
Just
people do this is what a lot of people are trying. Like you can see this in different areas that people are trying to monetize everything. It's kind of a it's like a communist kind of vibe.
But if you if you become a profile, then everything that used to be genuine is up for the marketplace for sure, including friendship, right? You could sell that.
When it's interesting that like
yourself
it's interesting that it's a thing that capitalism and communism kind of have in common in a sense, is like their monetary system, that they're about kind of
Mammon.
everything being commodified.
Yep.
But I don't think you can actually commodify, like when you commodify certain things, it doesn't, they're not the same thing anymore, And so, like, maybe marriage and friendship and, other things, religion, maybe. But I do think it's interesting that you can sell the tickets to the camp. You know what I mean? Like you can even sell the commemorative picture of you and your friends at the camp. Okay. You can sell t-shirts for TLC movie night, which are available now in the Grimgir store. You know, you can sell Campfire Estuary tees. You can hire lawyers to do an injunction to stop people copyright infringement on your t-shirt designs. You know, those things you can do. And like, you know, you could sell copies of the zine, if that's not against zine rules, and, you know, et cetera, et cetera. The game that Neil is making. Matt, you sell your comic books. Chad could be selling, what do you sell, Chad?
I just do it all for fun and for free. Not because I'm virtuous, I just don't know how to sell shit. It's also why I never became a drug dealer. But I just have fun being like, I want to encourage everybody who has the talent for doing this or that to do it, do this or that. Like, and fucking go hard, dude. Fuck yeah, dude. Like, I think that's amazing. And to be a fellow, shoulder to shoulder with my other fellows and watch them, have experiences that are genuine and life changing, and mundane. All of those things, like to have very meaningful moments. That's what I'm here for. I don't give a fuck about any other stuff. If like for some reason, you know, somebody decides to, if some reason somehow we come into some money or whatever, who gives a fuck? Great, I don't give a shit. And I'm not against it. I just don't like. To me, that's not where the juice is. The juice is this. The juice is meeting up at that campfire, watching things happen, watching things unfold, watching men get married, watching men have children. That's what I give a fuck about. All that other stuff, I'm not against it. I just don't think that it's completely secondary. You know. So like I like Nick's old idea of the kind of the shadow patriarchy, the Joseph protocol. You know, like that's the move. You know, none of us are going to be remembered, and thank God for that.
I do think that there should be a Grizz merch table at Midwestuary 2027.
And that's why you're on the committee. Right. Well, you're going to be at the committee, I imagine. I know that I got a message from Sam that we're going to start doing that again soon. From what he told me, there's some things that are in the works that are very exciting. I'm fucking jacked for this. This will be great. And yeah, dude. Dude, you know, like I was thinking about this the other day, just thinking about life in general and all the different people that walk through life, that have ever walked through life. The billions and billions and billions of people that have come and gone, you know, like in the limited time that you have. I don't care if you're affluent or living in the sticks. I don't give a fuck what it is, but like you have this little time to experience life. And like, I don't know, I was just thinking about like, what a cool thing that we have as the people that we are to be able to like have this thing, you know, like who gives a fuck where it goes, but we're here now. Right. And like, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be so crass. I shouldn't be cussing on the channel and stuff, but like I don't mean that I don't give an F. What I mean is like the beautiful will shine, dude. And that's awesome. And so, yeah, sorry, I'm rambling.
Well, you know, and also like just like Grimm will say, he told me at Midwestuary that he grifts, and he grifts heavily in order to, but it's a prophylatic, ironic grifting to teach the folks at TLC, many of whom this is their first time they've come out of the lurk in any capacity online. The internet was just cat pictures until they found this space. He's teaching people that grifting does exist and there's a bad form of it. And if you can do it with training wheels in an ironic kind of safer space where people actually do care about you, it actually builds up your immune response for the bad stuff so that you bounce off of that.
That's
You know?
part of why we need the merch table, because
Yeah.
all those big speakers come in with their merch tables,
Gross.
and we
Pin
need
the link.
we need like the
Grim should sell LLM derived copies of all of their talking points.
Yeah. But just like he will do that, all of us are kind of doing the content creator profile thing, but hopefully,
Ironically,
yeah, in order to demonstrate that, yeah, okay, this is inevitably going to exist, but let's remember that you're actually not alone. You know what I mean? Like, let's remember that there is a fourth wall here, and ultimately, your goal maybe it's to just be an estuary guy. You know, there's people out here who are doing the whole everything TLC knows and likes and don't even go online, which those are weird fellas. I don't know how they even network, but they do. Or I don't know. There's just many ways. Like the world exists beyond this screen, and sometimes we play games. I know I do. We'll play games in this little square that we have, but it's in the spirit of like a Grim Grizz type effect, where it's to remind us and to remind ourselves that there's something bigger than this little square in this little pixelated bald head that you see. You know,
you got to
and
remember that
That's what
it's all born out of the Freddie and Paul show. Keep that in mind. That is
Yeah.
the DNA.
Yep.
That is the first thing in the whole DNA. You got to keep that in mind. The only way I like to really think about all of this is what is the DNA actually made of, and like so it's things like that. So I also think of that. I think of the Wayne Campbell protocol. Like there's that, and then there's the Garth protocol. All those things are all very real to why this works.
Because
And
most products on the internet are viruses, right? That's why we talk in terms of virality. But we're doing something that's supposed to. It's a broken. We're injecting you with a broken virus so that you actually have immunity. We're giving you a vaccine rather than
you're
the virus.
trying to become real. It's like they've been trying to get you to live on this screen or whatever and make you think that this is real, and now we're going on the screen to tell you to and maybe you even have to come on the screen so that you can become real, like go off, so that you can leave it.
Yep, you got it. That's it. Yep.
Grizz said there was a spaghetti Sunday. Was there a spaghetti Sunday?
oh yeah, there was a spaghetti Sunday. I wasn't there, but yeah, I think it was at where was that? Was that at the Midwestuary? Oh yeah, there was. Yeah, it was Jordan Hall and Grizz and some other folks had spaghetti. I think Nate made spaghetti. We also went to church at the church right down the street.
Yeah.
And that was pretty great. That was a really great time.
Yeah, some of us had only been to church once a year with their wife's parents before that. If that.
Yeah, and it is hilarious that PVK's Sunday sermons are a PVK video. That's exactly what they are. It's so funny. I have to give credit. Matt, you'll have to find this and repost it. But one time Matt C made a meme of like old people staring up at a preacher, and he was like, the congregants of Livingstone CRC finding out what happened on the internet this week, listening to PVK be like, just shamelessly bring up whatever's on his mind in the culture on the internet, and then tying it into scripture or tying it into misery, deliverance, gratitude it's hilarious.
It's like Seinfeld stand up. He's like, "What's the deal with Vervaeke?" You're like, "What?"
I watched the Living Stone stream this week, like a large portion of it, and it was kind of mind blowing to me because I sat there and I thought, how many churches are in this Living Stone's position? Like really? And like, and I thought about that. But this is a dire situation. But what I loved about it was like, as small of a church as it is, like you can tell those folks are connected with each other in a very deep way, in real way. And so it's very interesting to me that Vander Clay's the guy who somehow accidentally finds himself being a nobody celebrity on the internet, helping people find meaning and helping people find the churches and things to go to, but they're not his church, and meanwhile his church is like, that was very, very meaningful. Sorry.
Do you see things? Could you prognosticate for us, Ezra? Because you've diagnosed pretty well, but now I'm wondering where you see the health, the eccentric state of something like this. Where do you see it going into the future? What's its state going to be over the next year or two or more?
Well, I've already packed my Post-it that says, if the future's not TLC, then I'm not sure it's a place I want to be. So it's like, I don't know if I've thought much about what it's going to be like around here, but it's like our job is to affect the cosmic background religion through what we do here. And if things got a little bit more like this, which is already happening, like you can see this like more personalist friendship vibe. This is the new, like it's propagating through YouTube. Like I said, it's connected to the Rogan sphere and all these different things, whatever. But it's going to become more and more like that, I think. And I have thought about, where I'd like that to go. Like could it be? Like, could there be a world, okay, where like everybody who wants to, like everybody likes comic books or something, sits around and talks with their friends about not just about comic books, but about life and stuff on the internet, and maybe they have their little channel if they want, and they don't have a lot of subscribers necessarily, whatever, but they're actually friends. And maybe it's offline and that's fine. Great. That would be perfect. But I can see in the online space it becoming, could it become more like people who want to connect with other people about any kind of shared interest, but they also become real friends. And then, they don't have the biggest podcast, but maybe there's a little bit bigger podcast. Okay. And those people on that bigger podcast, they're actually also real friends. They're just more professional. And could that podcast, like, could one of them be friends with somebody who's friends with somebody who's doing the podcast that I'm doing? Because there's a little bit of that hierarchy already here where it's like, I'm not going to necessarily, I'm not going to hang out with Vervaeke and Pajot, but Paul occasionally hangs out with Vervaeke and Pajot, and I hang out with Paul occasionally, and so,
Well, it's great because it frees us to explore, and not worry about what we're trying to get.
But like that's the kind of way that there could be, it's a way of thinking about how what it would be like for the thing to scale where it can't scale, but the spirit of it can spread a bit. And I have also thought of how names are important, and Peugeot talked about that at Midwestuary, which is the thing we're supposed to be reminiscing about. And he talked about how it's called This Little Corner, uh, and it's also called Estuary, and what those names mean. And I think about this little corner as like the big corner. There's big corner, okay, like big corners of a building. Like there's the big thing, there's the church or whatever. There's the nation or the government. There's all these. There's the marketplace. There's Hollywood. There are these big corner things, and then there's the little corner, which I think is a spirit between that and the wilderness of no corner, where you're just alone. Okay, so that's kind of how I see the
So
little corner.
I initially planned to have like 3 reflections on Midwestuary. Never happened, but I did get some of my ideas out with Seabax in some sort of post talk based on the Peugeot talk about the limits of a name. He's like, well, it being this little corner, it can't be bigger, and that is true. And this is just a thought. This is not an illusion of grandeur. But like little corners is like Christianity, like how it began. It was a tiny little corner, like this little cornerstone, of the Roman Empire. But that little corner was the cornerstone upon which Christendom was built. And so I can see something like TLC, which is an intentional like attempt to be an antidote to the system, being like this little cornerstone of the internet, something like that, which I know is a crazy idea, but like the future, the internet's probably not going anywhere. The digital reality is probably not going anywhere. It's going to be a part of the future. Hopefully it's not crazy like it is now and kids exposed to all sorts of nonsense and whatever. But to be something that whatever the future of the internet is can be based on, I think is what I'm trying to get at. And so little corners can be a big thing, but not by trying to be a big thing. But it can be something upon which a big thing is based on, something like that. So just, I hope that makes sense as I am distracted by Skank's paddleboarding.
Yeah, I absolutely think that like the little corner, like what goes down on the little corner is the thing that changes the cosmic background religion the most.
Yeah.
Like it can conquer Rome from that little corner.
Yep.
And also in the arts, this is always how it works. Like all of like the art revolutions, it's like starts with some manifesto and like 10 dudes or whatever, 10 people, some small little scene that happens somewhere that ignites this thing that then like the big corner things come in and feed, and they try to, and like somebody makes it big with their independent film, and then they're immediately like the system comes to eat them. And I think that in predicting what'll happen with the corner, it's like that. If anyone starts to like make it big or whatever, then what'll happen is the system will try to come eat them, and buy them off basically to stop doing that. Is what they do, and we'll see who falls and who doesn't.
Well, part of the safety mechanism there is that the atomization that's taking place, I think, will prevent that from happening because of the two things: the steep slope, is one aspect of it that like we're too ridiculous to be eaten. Like we're just too ridiculous to be. Well, I think it's too ridiculous to make any kind of like revolutionary anything or whatever. And also like that combined with this idea of kind of like, remember how we talked about this once where there's like, I don't know, maybe there's like 1,000 pop stars out there that we've never even heard of. And every one of those 1,000 pop stars has like 1 million or two followers, and they're huge pop stars in their own little thing. And we never even heard of these bastards. Like, that's really weird. So in that way, in that system, there is no, something out there that's going to eat the whatever, because it's such an atomized attention economy. It doesn't work in the attention economy because for whatever reason, I'm not really sure what that is, but it's not the same market as it used to be. And that's why I also it's kind of like the vaudeville thing again, I think, in that way. Like vaudeville was they didn't have like, there wasn't like, I mean, there was celebrities, but there weren't, you know what I mean? Like
I think sometimes like the Velvet Underground. So there's this band, the Velvet Underground, and like now they're like probably one of the most famous, kind of like whatever underground bands ever or something. But the thing that people said about them for like 50 years or whatever was they were this band that like only played a handful of shows or whatever, but everybody who was at one of those shows started a band. Things get into the DNA even if they weren't big on their own or whatever, So like, yeah, and I think it's that this is even calling it Little Corner. It's like already a spirit between the two things. Estuary is a spirit between two things. Like it's a spiritual how thing. It's not necessarily a what. Like will the what of the branding be like the specific like style? Yeah, I could see that like getting eaten up a little bit, but the thing that really can get taken up is like more the how things are done and how it works, because I swear it's already happening. Like you see that that even some of the old celebrities and stuff, they're gonna try to sell us like them as real friends, and like that they have a more interconnected like life or something. Like we're gonna start to like sell an idea of how to be a person because it's something that people would like to buy. How to do that now?
I will say it seems like some of the topics that we hit hard over the last, the corner in general has hit hard on over the last whatever almost 10 years. A lot of those topics have made seemingly like surfaced in some sort of mainstream arena. If you call Chris Williamson mainstream.
Well, dude, Vervaeke was on Theo Vaughn.
Yeah,
that's got to be like one of the, isn't that like top 3 podcasts or something, or YouTube shows?
That's big.
That's huge. And I've heard a couple of the terms maybe pop up. The like broader kind of things, I think.
Yeah.
But are you more optimistic? Because there's kind of there's a directionality. There's a like up to Theo Vaughn, and then there's the horizontal in a way, like the distributed mesh network of a bunch of unmonetizable nobodies who, like us, I don't know. Well, I'll speak for myself. Who have more people, a few more people they can hang out with, more people going to their weddings and their funerals, and that feels like you can descend and devour maybe a couple of the tall shoots that go up a bit, but you can't eat the whole field if it's been horizontally grown outward. What do you think about that?
Tell me what you mean by the like. What are you talking about eating it?
Where you said like with the I don't
Yeah,
know,
because like I
Sauron's
agree. Yeah,
eye.
you can't eat the whole thing. You can't eat the horizontal of it.
Yeah, you
It's like
can you can nibble the top stuff if it gets high enough. That's what attracts the devourer of the scene, I guess. But if
But
everybody is playing in a punk show across every city, if there's 1,000, if Velvet Underground, the band, not the terrorist organization,
I think
if
y'all are
they're
missing the forest through the trees. I
yeah,
think y'all are still thinking about this in a world where people search for things because they want them,
Mhm.
because they're attracted to something. And I think the opposite is true throughout history, where people search for things because they need them. And that's where and how they'll find us, because they actually need us.
well, that's where I'm saying I think it's already being taken. Like some of the spirit is already being taken up, and it's unclear even where exactly it's coming from.
Interesting.
Because it could come through. Like I was talking to somebody about how a few years ago I watched the Louis C.K. on Theo Vaughn, and they didn't know each other, and they did this podcast, and I listened to it. And then a few years later, they did another podcast, and now they're both in SLA together, which is like a 12-step for sexual issues and things. And they talked about that, and then they both cried. And then Theo said, "If I ever have a kid, I want him to be like you. Like I wish I'd have a kid who was like you." And then they cried, and then
Yeah.
they made a joke. But it's like there was this long period where it was not comedy. It was riveting entertainment in the sense that it was emotionally whatever. But these were guys who they had sort of become real friends to the degree that such people do, and they were talking about something, and that
And
was
the camera was on. Yeah.
yes, yeah,
Hmm.
and it's like I that even like what his show is like and why that's popular, like just this is I think going to be more and more of a thing, to Neil's point, probably because it's needed. It's like, people start to, they don't like, I guess we talk about a lot of the things that are just happening spiritually for people. So like, they don't know necessarily that it's happening, but like, how could you not notice on some level the difference between like now and the 90s or something like that? And then, like I joke about how shows like Stranger Things have to be set in the 80s so it's believable that somebody has friends. You know, like
That's dark.
that's
Yep.
that's what we went through, So like
And
we're not gonna-
that's why these conferences really mean a lot, because we're like to me the conference, and I don't care what scale the conference is. So if it's going to be 10 people, if it's going to be in my backyard, or if it's going to be 400 people in Midwestuary, whatever the thing is, whatever the
24
purpose of the
people at a
thing,
campsite in the Northwest.
exactly, whatever it is, um, that to me that's the dying on the hill. And that's what the whole point is, because we started here in this little strange internet thing, and we said we're taking it back, and we're going to go instantiate in person and come together. And yeah, sometimes it's a little hard to drive there. Maybe, damn, I got to make potato salad, whatever the thing is. But those are little sacrifices that we get to participate in, because it is awesome. I mean, that's why we keep doing it. If they sucked, he just wouldn't do them. You know? Yeah, dude.
Yeah, like after like I was saying, years ago, I read a piece that Grizz wrote about Meat Space and the experience of being like a kind of online only person and then having to go into real life. And then after meeting him in my estuary group at Southeastuary, or spending time with him there, met him at the thing before, but I sent him a message after and was just like, just it, like how unthinkable it is that people from online meet up in real life. Like it's very strange. I mean, I know that it happens. Like I don't know, there was like that old, there was like the isn't there like a web show about like the people playing an MMO and then they had to like meet in real life to do a quest or something. That was the thing. But like going to those two conferences back to back, the big one and a more intimate one. Yeah, I wouldn't have thought that anything like that would like when I started watching for Vakey, I would not have thought that would happen.
Ezra, do you think? And then I gotta hop off, but I've been really curious what your thoughts are on the strength of the diversity, maybe of the types of meetups TLC's done. It seems notable, and maybe it's a feature that folks could do a 400 person plus giant, a conference, and they could do all these other things. There isn't like we've never like normalized one vehicle, because that would feel more monetizable in a way. But the fact that the medium isn't the message in terms of how that delivery mechanism of meat space occurs seems kind of wild. Like, what are your thoughts on that distribution of variety?
Yeah, I think that's super important. That seems to me super important that it works that way, and that anybody can do any kind that they want. It's like, when is it going to be like Festuary and just bands play or something? And
Wow.
Like this is the kind of thing, the every version of the, I mean, obviously there'll have to eventually be the, TLC Film Festival. I would hope.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's super important. I also think it's important to use the D word again. I think it's kind of important that you get different kinds of people out at the things too, because there were some people at the there were some people at Midwestuary who I know that there were at least some people at Midwestuary who were, this is the most exposure that they'd had to that many Christians, and probably since they were children, and they had the trauma about it or something, and they were like getting on board. And maybe the very end there, when we all started singing, it was like, no, wait a minute, this is church, and then I think you lost those people, possibly.
It wasn't at the opening prayer. I saw some people visibly retch. Opening.
There was a prayer. I didn't even remember.
There was a prayer in the middle too.
Yeah.
Oh, say, can you pray?
Spontaneous.
You remember? I think Clara did a backflip when that happened. She was so upset, but she stuck around the whole weekend.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
The When the Saints thing, because somehow, like, a village procession that do not exist anymore
Yeah.
Yep.
happened. It felt
When I
prophetic.
thought it was
Actually, my church
interesting.
does a procession through the neighborhood
So does
twice
mine.
a year.
But yeah.
I thought it was interesting how like that's a thing that's still Christian coded, is like singing together not at a concert is like to a certain kind of secular person or not, you know, that's like that's where they were like, wait a minute, this seems a little. And it was literally, you know, it's not that it was a religious song. Or it wasn't even that. It was just that we're singing together at all. It was like somehow broke it, I think.
Yeah, it was so hype. I love that moment so much. I was so not excited about that moment happening. I thought that's going to be the dumbest shit. Like I told Mo that. It's like, dude, this is going to be the worst. I just thought this was going to be the worst idea. Why are we doing this? And I was just like, uh, kind of like misty watching this happen, trying to remember the moment, like trying to like record the moment in my head because it was just so awesome. Hmm.
I think I have yeah.
Okay, yes. We're bored. We're all bored now.
Okay, so yeah, parting shots, parting comments. We've been nostalgiaing the Midwestuary reflections. I said to the local estuary chapter, you know, thanks to the people there that worked on the event. I thank Chad because he was involved in the event. And yeah, I said I'm pretty much the poster boy for life most affected by it. So I feel like I should get a keynote or something. But yeah, what are you guys' final thoughts?
Well,
Midwestuary a year ago today.
I'll just say that I am very grateful, and uh, I'm grateful to have made a friend in you, and um, everything about it. I'm looking forward to more, and that's all I got to say. And thank Neil for walking with me and getting the thing going, because yeah, even though he annoys me the shit out of me sometimes, he's still my friend. All right. Oh, by the way, I think that it should be the theme for next one. Now we haven't discussed a theme, but if there was one, I would say something like the spirit of friendship.
yeah.
Cricket.
My comment was to piggyback on what Ezra said of being very impacted by Midwestuary is somehow like the TLC waves keep happening when I think it's just kind of done and it's going to fade. But then I also mentioned the whole the sitcom or the soap opera that with the scripted lines you participate in, and TLC being a place you can talk back. It's like as long as people are doing that, like okay, I'm gonna hop in on this scripted soap opera and get the person who is in their room with their fake sitcom reading scripts in their life, like to talk back. Like I'm gonna be real to them. Like as long as that happens, I think the waves will keep happening. And despite my skepticism, and this little cornerstone, that idea, I would just say like, I don't know, think about it. It might be something to it. So that's all I got.
Thank you, sir.
All I can say from my experience is it was so much better because there are people I was already amped to hang out with beforehand. So I feel like, wow, this sounds like fun. Start hanging out with us now. Like, start building up what made Midwestuary so great already by popping on the live streams, chilling, hanging out, getting to know one another. Because that was the big thing for me, was kind of being able to really kind of take stock of these people I thought I'd met online. And for the most part, I was shocked to realize that these people are more or less the same in 3 dimensions that they were in 2 dimensions.
One more note for conferences: consider making some sort of family-friendly element, and I don't mean like radically, but just like space for kids to play. Then you'll get wives and families there, because it's, anyway, just future conference makers, think about it. Because if
Hire
kids are
balloon
all,
artists. They're a great value add to any social gathering.
Yeah.
Another thing you can pay for: the fun, you can't, but the balloons, you can.
I want to give kudos to Skank for getting the regional ingressions going, because I think you've set off like a flurry, a furious flurry of small events. Because one thing I think about is how Burning Man has gone, because Burning Man grew and grew and grew and grew and grew, and they kind of overextended their reputational capital that they gained over 20 years. And you had corruption at the as I understand, I don't follow it that closely, but as I understand, it's corruption at the higher levels of Burning Man taking advantage of that relational capital. And then what happened was people started having, and there were already these smaller, what they called regional burns, but that became now the standard versus the original Burning Man. So, and I like the idea of letting all these different events and estuaries do their thing, and we see what works and what doesn't, and a variety of different things work well. And so, appreciate Matt for starting that. And last note on that is, the more the machine tightens its grip, the more star systems will slip through its fingers. That's all.
Let me just piggyback and just say, it's not that hard. Let me tell you the secret about doing camping trips together. On camping trips, it's expected that things are going to go wrong. So even when mistakes happen, it's part of the plan. You can't fail if you go camping together.
And to extend on that, if you want to do these things, ask people for help. They will help. People will help.
Yeah, I think everything about it is like what Nick was saying about it's like the scene where the scene where the character's watching the TV and then the TV talks to just them, and it's like, hey, and then all of a sudden they're seen by this thing that was like eating their attention. It gives attention back to them that's real, and they like become startled and real in that moment. Everything has that spirit to it. So the small events, the jumping on a live stream, all the things do that.
Yeah, when the person walks into their little soap opera scripted room, and one of the characters goes, "Tell me about the home you grew up in." Like you said, it's wild. It's a wild move. It flips
Yeah,
the
or when
script.
you show up at the event and then you're, hugged by Ron Comperman and and you're like start to freak out because you're like, oh man, I think I might have left the oven on before we drove from Chicago. And he goes, I don't want to get too weird, but I can usually tell if something's wrong, and like, you're fine. And then you're like, I guess I'm fine.
I want to point out that Gavin Palmer is the one that noticed and coined Paul's coin phrase, "Tell me about the home you grew up in." Gavin Palmer was the one who noticed it and said, "Oh, this is the question." And so he's the one, and that's how this space works. I don't know what the hell that is, but it's a thing. That's the interesting thing. whatever that is, right? So Paul's been doing these randos, and all of a
It
sudden
takes a long time
Gavin,
to name the things.
right? And then all of a sudden Gavin comes along and he says, "Yeah, he's got this." It went in his cool Matthew McConaughey voice, "Oh, he's got this thing. He says, tell me about the home he grew up in." And then we're all like, "Oh yeah, of course, that's the rando question." And we should put a shirt. We should make a shirt with Vanderclay's freaking weird face, and it says, "Tell me about the home you grew up in," and we can make money that way. There it is.
I agree. I agree that we should do that. Yeah. Yeah, and some of us use that that we know that line to like set up our whole rando because we answer it literally. All right, thank you all for coming. I'm going to bed. I have to move out of my apartment. Goodbye.
Good
She's the
night.
coolest listener ever.
Godspeed.
What do we go out on? We're gonna go out on something. Guess it's gonna be this.
Shit. If you can't share your secrets with your friends, then what kind of friend are you? Exactly. Life just wouldn't be worth living, would it?